Welcome to Speaking of Grace, the weekly message podcast from the WholeLife Church in Orlando, Florida. We're a multi-ethnic, multicultural, and multi-generational congregation committed to our mission of loving people into a lifelong friendship with God. We are committed to our vision of being a church without walls, fully engaged in serving the people of our community. Thank you for joining us as we continue Speaking of Grace.
We love our kids, don't we? Yeah, awesome. I just want to say thank you so much to the leaders of our children's choir, the leaders of our Pathfinder Club, the leaders of our Adventurer Club. Thank you so much for making sure that WholeLife has a vibrant program for our young people. I am so grateful. If you have children that are not involved with children's choir or adventures and pathfinders, you're interested, find anybody who's wearing, I took my lanyard off, but find somebody with a lanyard and just ask them how to get involved. Find me afterwards. We'll point you in the right direction. We want your kids to be engaged and involved. And so, just so grateful. That was just awesome. Just appreciate it so much. I also want to take a moment this morning to move from the children to my grandmother. My grandma turned 99 yesterday. Yeah. So I don't know whether she was watching first service or second service, but Grandma, happy birthday. I did call yesterday, so yeah, okay. And here's the cool part, she's living on her own still. Yeah, and I am praying for those genes. You have no idea. Those are the genes I want right there. So my grandma lives up in the mountains of Virginia. That's where my mom grew up. That's where my grandma grew up. And my dad grew up in the mountains in Pennsylvania. And so I guess they came to some kind of conclusion when they got married that they would raise me in the mountains of North Carolina. I love mountains. We almost had an escapee there for a second. All right. Can I just take a moment and say, parents who bring your children to church, thank you. I have had two of my own. And can I just tell you, it is not easy to get them ready to come to church and then be here. And we are so thrilled that you bring your kids here and that they're a part of our family. And I always think that a church where you can hear children in it means that the church is alive. So anyway, side quest there for a second. But hey, what I was going to tell you was that my parents chose to raise me in western North Carolina, in the mountains there, and I love the mountains. In fact, I never wanted to live in Florida. This was not on my bucket list of places that I hope to live. And so when I received the opportunity to come here and pastor a WholeLife church, I said, I know I'm going to love the WholeLife church, and we'll just have to, minister in the desert that God sends us to, right? And that's what, we'll have to go. You don't always get to pick where you live. You just go to where God's calling you to be. And I have to tell you, I love Orlando. I have fallen in love with this. I still love my mountains. Don't get me wrong. I'm still loyal, but I love Orlando. This is a great town to live in, and the people are wonderful. This church is wonderful. Lots of great things to do in Orlando, so I really have enjoyed living here in Florida. Sometimes God sends you somewhere, He's like, let me surprise you. And so it's important to trust God when He calls you to do, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that as we get going. But moving back to the mountains of North Carolina, in the mountains in North Carolina, we had a house that backed up to several mountains. And so my brother and I, keep in mind, this was in the last century. I know this is going to blow some young parents' minds, okay? But in the last century, parents would actually let their kids come home, and they wouldn't be at home. Now, I'm not saying this is good practice. I'm just saying it was what it was, okay? And so we would come home after school, and Mom and Dad would still be at work, and we'd let ourselves into the house. And my brother and I recognized what our mission was. Once school is done, mission at school is to get your education. But once school is done, when you live right behind a mountain, the mission is to go have adventures, right? That's your mission. talked about mission statements 2 weeks ago. Our mission statement was go have adventures. Get out of the house, go out in the woods, have adventures. Now, these adventures could look like different things. And what I choose to say, because I'm talking to you today about mission and vision. Last week I talked about, 2 weeks ago I talked about mission. This week I'm talking to you about vision. So if your mission answers the question, what's my purpose, why do I exist? The answer for us when we got home after school was to go have adventures. That was our mission, right? Now our vision changed from day to day. Mission didn't. Go have adventures. But the vision would change because the vision answers the question, how are we going to accomplish our purpose? So for us, some days, the vision said, we're going to go outside and we're going to go into the back lot and we're going to have a dirt clod war. Again, I don't highly recommend this. Some of you know what it is if you grew up in the country and you're a country bumpkin like me. This is, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't tell this. Anyway, this is where you'd find dirt clods and you'd throw them at each other. You'd chuck them at each other and, nothing bad ever happened. So that could be one vision for one day. And then some days the vision was to go out to the creek and go ahead and get stones and dam it up and create your own personal, well, we called it whirlpool. It was your own little hot tub. It wasn't hot, but you get what I'm saying. You have to use your imagination when you're creating adventures for yourself. And so that would be the mission one day. Just go, dam up the creek and hang out and splash and play and catch crawdads and do stuff like that. Other days, the mission was to go explore. Now, I grew up in a household where some of you may not. I grew up in a household that believed in missionaries, and David Livingstone was like this, And so on those days, if you don't know who David Livingstone was, he was a missionary explorer, went to Africa. You can do your own research later. But the point is, we're David Livingstone. We're going to the belt. We're going to go exploring. We're going to explore all this mountain. We're going to see what we can find. We're going to see who we can find. It's going to be amazing, right? And so we go do that. So the vision would change from day to day. The mission didn't. Have an adventure. Go have fun. That was the mission. Vision, what we were going to do, changed from day to day. But there was one part of the vision that usually stayed pretty static. Be home before supper. Because if supper happened and we weren't home, there was a strong chance that our mission was going to get canceled by mom and dad. Because if you can't be home on time and we have to start worrying about you and send out, the search parties for you, then your mission could be canceled by the parental figures in our life, right? And so one of the things that was important for us was knowing how to get home. And so part of our vision every time was that you have to pay attention to what time it is. We didn't really have watches. We just watched the sun. We'd know when it got to a certain point. That was the time we were supposed to be heading home. And then the other part of it was just having to find your way home. So if you're, on a mission to explore, you could wind up in parts unknown. It could happen, right? And here's the problem. When you wind up in parts unknown, how do you get home? Well, my brother and I, and this is one of the advantages, I would say, to allowing your children to have a little bit of freedom, problem solve this. Our parents didn't tell us how to work this out. We figured it out. The answer was that there was a particularly tall mountain, and we were very familiar with what every single side of it looked like. Very familiar. And so when we would go on an adventure and we'd find ourselves in parts unknown, places we'd never been before, you know what we'd do? You know what we'd do, right? We'd look for our mountain. Because we never went so far that we couldn't see this mountain. And if we could see the mountain, then we could figure out where we were at. And if we could figure out where we were at, we'd know which way to go to get back home. So we might find ourselves in a big problem. We've gone a long ways. Like the time I found myself on a sheer rock face thinking I was going to be a rock climber, and that didn't work out so hot. But when I finally managed to get myself down, I found my mountain, and I found my way home. That was part of the vision, how to get home. Today I'm wanting to talk to you about vision because vision is important. I told you 2 weeks ago that everybody should have a personal mission statement. I also believe that everybody should have a vision of what God is asking as Christians, a vision of what God is wanting to do in your life and through you right now. So let's talk about vision a little bit. You may have heard of SMART goals, and I want to borrow the acronym from SMART to tell you how it applies to vision. You need to have a SMART vision. And so, firstly, your vision needs to be specific. When we talk about mission statements are a little less specific, right? I told you what my personal mission statement was to know God and to love God. Let's be honest, that's not particularly specific. It's specific, but it's not. There's a lot of different ways to go about doing that. Our mission at WholeLife, I can't remember it. What is our mission at WholeLife? Oh, you can't either. This is problematic. Loving. We're going to work on this. We're going to work on this, but not right now because I've got to keep moving. Missions can be kind of broad. Visions are specific. A vision says this is what we're trying to do, and we're going to be very specific about what we're going to do. Like this day, we are going to go dig for treasure underneath the oak tree that's a mile away from our house because we're sure pirates left something there 100 years ago, even though there are no known instances of pirates being in western North Carolina. We are sure that happened. We'll go. That's a very specific mission. That's a very specific vision. The mission, go have an adventure. The vision, go dig for treasure. Following along? Specific. The second part of a vision is that it is measurable. Missions can be a little harder to quantify and to measure, but visions need to be measurable. You need to be able to say, we accomplished this. So we're going to go dig underneath the oak tree. You know whether you dug or not. You might not have found treasure, but you know that you left a big hole. You accomplished your vision. It's measurable. And so a good vision, you should be able to say, yes, these are markers that we know that we've been doing this. And by doing this, it's actually pushing us towards that mission that we have as well. By accomplishing the vision, I know I'm accomplishing my mission as well. The next aspect is that it needs to be attainable. So, can we do this? Is it something that's within the realm of possibility? Now, you think back to when John F. Kennedy said that he was going to put a man on the moon. That probably didn't feel overly attainable, but JFK knew where he was at, where things were at, and he felt like it was going to take a lot of work, but it could be attainable. But it was going to require a big jump. And so when you have one of these visions for yourself personally in a secular aspect, you want it to actually push you. It's attainable, but it's not easy. It's not like my vision today is just to step down from these stairs. I know I can do that. A good vision would say, well, no, I know that I am going to walk across America. That's going to take some, it's attainable, but it's going to take a little bit of effort. That's the attainable aspect of it. Next thing is relevant. Your vision needs to be relevant. Can I just tell you one of my pet peeves in Christianity is that so many Christians are stuck trying to attain the vision that was given to somebody 50, 100, 500, or 1,000 years ago. It's not relevant anymore. But we want to think it was. Because, if it was good enough for them, it's good enough for us. Well, yeah, God did give them that vision. But that wasn't the vision that he's giving to you, where you are planted today. Be relevant. What's needed today? What the church needs today is a lot different than what the church needed back when the Seventh-day Adventist Church was founded back in the 1800s, mid-1800s. Very different. Think about, has the world changed at all? Let's forget the internet. Let's remember that they're going around in horses and buggies. When Ellen White tells people not to ride bicycles, is that our relevant vision for what we're trying to tell today? Or was there a bigger principle behind what she was trying to say that may be more missional, but isn't particularly relevant today, but the sentiment behind it might have something for us to think about and to apply to today? So the question is your vision relevant? Is it relevant to the people that you're around? Is it relevant to you? Or are you just trying to do something that was done 100 years ago that has absolutely no worth in the world that you live in? The next part of a good vision is that it needs to be time-bound. In other words, there needs to be an aspect of there's time involved in it. We're going to accomplish this in a year. For us, you remember that backyard adventure? It was very time-bound, backed by supper. That time aspect was incredibly, we have to be back by supper. You have to attain the goal within this period of time. If you weren't able, maybe we roll it over to the next day, or maybe we say that wasn't really the vision that maybe that's not the right vision, maybe we'll just move on. But the point is that there's a time aspect to it where you say, this is the amount of time that we're going to try to accomplish this. Mission statements, missions are timeless. Vision is time-bound. It's in time. There's a space in it. Now, I want to add one final thing that doesn't work with SMART, okay? There's one final aspect that I would say for Christians. Vision has to be God-sized. What do I mean by that? I mean, if you really want to pursue God's vision for you, if WholeLife wants to be pursuing God's vision for WholeLife, we need to ask God what that vision needs to be. It's not just up to me to go, oh, I think I want to do this. Let's do that. I need to be praying about it. I need to be asking God to give me guidance, send me information that'll help me know the direction. But then on top of that, I need to make sure that I'm actually allowing God to be God in this vision. Do you understand what I mean by that? What I mean is that if you're going to have a big vision, do you think you're accomplishing it, or do you know you've got to have God to accomplish it? Because too many times I see Christians, again, create visions that they know good and well they can accomplish on their own. And when they get done accomplishing it, who gets the credit? They do. I mean, we'll say, oh, praise the Lord, I was able to do this. But the I is much more emphasized than the Lord. Family, when we have a vision, we have got to believe that the only way that vision will happen is if God makes it happen. Yes, it's attainable because we believe in God, but it needs to be something that we're going to need to rely on God to help us make happen. It needs to be God-sized. Can I give you a quick example from the Bible? Is that all right? Okay. If you want to check this out, I'm actually going to start in Isaiah because I want you to see the progression here. In Isaiah 42, verses 6 and 7, 2 weeks ago I told you that this was Israel's mission statement. And I'm just going to summarize that first one. I, the Lord, have called you, the Israelite nation, to demonstrate my righteousness. That was the mission statement. Broad, not particularly time-bound, broad mission statement. Demonstrate my righteousness. That was their mission statement. Well, prior to this being written, the Israelites found themselves in captivity. They found themselves in slavery in the land of Egypt. If you don't know this story, you can go to the book of Exodus and read about it. But they find themselves in slavery, and are they able to accomplish their mission while they're in slavery? Not to the full extent. Not the way that God's called them to do it, because God's called them to be a blessing to all the nations of the earth. So it has to move, well, we're providing free labor for Egypt. That's not the blessing God had in mind in the mission. God wanted them to demonstrate his righteousness, and you're not going to do that in Egypt. You're not going to do that in slavery in Egypt. But there's a problem. When you're a slave, you're not usually doing it because you want to. You're doing it because somebody has enslaved you. Somebody powerful is holding you down. And so here they are. No, they're not able to live their mission, and they don't have a vision. The only vision they have is, let's keep making bricks. That's it. And God had a different vision for them. And so he speaks to Moses and he says, I have certainly seen the oppression of my people in Egypt. I have heard their cries of distress because of their harsh slave drivers. Yes, I'm aware of their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the power of the Egyptians and to lead them out of Egypt into their own fertile and spacious land. It is a land flowing with milk and honey, the land where the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Oh, come on, you got okay. I thought that was pretty. Now live. Now look, the cry of the people has reached me, and I have seen how harshly the Egyptians abused them. Now go, for I am sending you to the Pharaoh. You must lead my people out of Israel, out of Egypt. So what you see right here is God is giving a vision to the Israelite people. You're going to leave Egypt, you're going to leave slavery, and you're going to go to the land flowing with milk and honey, this promised land. And he gives Moses his own personal vision here. You must lead my people out of Israel. Very specific. It's time bound. It's a smart thing. And can we just agree that's kind of God-sized? You're going to go ahead and get out of the grip of the most powerful nation on earth. It seems like a God-sized thing going on there. Do you see what I'm saying? The mission, display my righteousness to the nations, and it's going to be accomplished through this vision of leaving slavery, entering into the promised land. And Moses himself has said, and this is the specific way that you're going to be a part of it. You're going to be the leader. You're going to make this happen. Can I just tell you, anytime I start wanting to feel sorry for myself ever, as a pastor, I go ahead and read some of Moses. And I feel better immediately. Because this is a rough assignment. You'd think that people who are in slavery would say, yes, let's go. But that's not what they say when Moses shows up. They're like, really? Are you sure this is what, things can get worse, because they did. And that's like, okay, Moses, you thought that was a good idea. This vision is not correct. Stop it. You're making things worse. But if you don't know the story, go and read it. I've got to skip ahead a little bit. I'm going to move through this really quickly. God does a number of incredible miracles, sends these plagues on Egypt, and eventually convinces the Pharaoh to let the children of Israel go. And so at this point, Moses must have been thinking, yes, God, vision accomplished. We're headed out. I am leading them out of Israel. We are just a few days away from the promised land. And God says, that's right, Moses, just keep going, buddy. And Moses said, okay, let's take a right. And God says, no, I need you to actually go left. And Moses is like, well, that's going to be a lot longer way to get to where we're going. God says, yeah, just trust me, just do what I'm telling you, just go that way. Moses is like, okay. So Moses does, it's good leader, good follower of God. They go left. And they show up at the Red Sea. The Red Sea is in front of them. There are mountains on either side of them. And it's at this point that Pharaoh says, you know what? I just realized I lost a lot of free labor. What was I thinking? Let's go get them. And so he sends his army after them. And so where do the Israelites find themselves? Where does Moses find himself? This poor leader. Can you imagine, okay, there's an army coming to kill you, enslave you, send you. It's horrible. You're stuck. This is really poor leadership, Moses. Mountains on either side and sea on this side. There's no chance to maneuver. We are not nearly capable of defending ourselves against this trained army. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, Moses? Why would you do this to us? In fact, just listen. Why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? What have you done to us? Didn't we tell you this would happen while we were still in Egypt? Poor Moses. Because then God says to him, why are you crying out to me? Well, God, it seems a little obvious here. I don't think I have to explain this to you. There's a mountain here, there's a mountain there, there's a sea here, and there's an Egyptian army over here. But listen to what God says. Tell the people to get moving. Family, pay attention for the next 60 seconds. You with me? Dial in. Whenever God gives you a vision, he will bring you to a Red Sea. If you don't hit a Red Sea, you did not pick a God-sized vision. Because God is going to bring you to a Red Sea. He's going to bring you to a place, and you're going to be like, God, you told me to do this, and now I'm stuck, and now I can't get there, and now it's not possible, and blah, 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 blah. You'll go through it. I've done this multiple times in my life. And God is going to say, get moving. And you're going to say, but we're. And he's going to point at the Red Sea. And you're going to have to choose whether you're going to walk into it or not. You're going to have to choose whether you're going to believe that this is the time where God is going to do a God-sized miracle to make it happen for you. I truly believe, family, that when you have a God-sized vision, you will show up at a Red Sea and God will have to part it for you. And you're going to have to decide whether you're going to get moving or not. Get moving. God can. The question is, will you? You know, here at WholeLife, we have an amazing mission. That mission is not going anywhere. It's staying the same. But we've had a vision for this church for about the last 20 years. Remember life 20 years ago? It's been a while. It is a good vision. And I'd like to say that we've attained a lot of that vision for who we are. And it's become a part of who we are. And now it is time for us to enter into the next phase of God's vision for us. Remember that the vision can change from day to day. The mission stays the same. And it is time for us at WholeLife to update our vision for where we're headed. And so in the next couple months, you're going to be hearing about this. And what I want you to think about when you hear this mission is not, wow, that sounds really ambitious. What I want you to think is that ambitious enough? Is that a God-sized vision? I believe, as I've been working on this with a really talented group of people who've been praying, seeking God's guidance, that we're getting to a God-sized vision for the next 10 years. But it will require God to open some Red Seas. And the question is, are you going to move? Are you going to move? And the other question is, how is God going to ask you in your vision for where you're at to help with that vision that he has for your church? Believe me, I have my own personal vision. Right now, my kids are moving into adulthood, and part of my vision as a parent right now is to help them make that transition. In my marriage, it's to help be supportive of my wife the way she's been supportive of me in my career. And I know what my vision is here at WholeLife as your lead pastor. But family, I am inviting you. In fact, I'm begging you, I'm pleading with you. Let's get up. Let's move. Let's move into what God wants to do in the next 10 years and not rest in the amazing work he's done over the last 20. If we move, I have no doubt that, like me on the back of the mountain, we'll find that mountain that is God, the rock that is higher than I. We'll find it, and we'll find our way home together.
Hi, this is Randy McGray, podcast producer and host here at WholeLife Church. Loving people into a lifelong friendship with God is our mission at the WholeLife Church, and our podcasts are designed to help facilitate conversations that help us grow together in that pursuit. Now that you've heard the message for this week, don't forget to check out the WholeLife takeaways for this message. Swipe up in today's show notes and join the conversation. Speaking of conversations, each Wednesday morning we take a closer look at the week's message. That's right, the one you just listened to. We discuss practical ways to apply spiritual lessons and ask honest questions about the issues we face as Christians, all focused through the lens of grace. Your voice is a welcomed addition to that conversation. We encourage your thoughts and your questions by sending a voicemail or text to 407-965-1607 or send an email to podcast@wholelife.church. You can find everything podcast related on our website, wholelife.church/podcast. And plan on spending every Tuesday evening and Wednesday morning with us as we bring you the WholeLife Church inspiration you love straight into your headphones. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.